G'day guys, and welcome again to Pure Property Investment One-on-One. I'm joined today again by Tristan Sifo. Tristan, thanks for joining us, mate.
Pleasure.
Tristan is a financial planner. He's also a wealth coach, and he's a good guy at that. So what I'd probably do, look, there's no financial ramifications for you or having to pay me for that comment either. But look, well, guys, we'll get straight into it. From my side of things, and this is, I guess, when we talk about the investment property space and working as buyers agents, both for owner-occupied properties and investment properties, we get the question a lot by clients coming into us to say, how much do I need to save to buy my first investment property? And again, like a lot of these questions that come our way, it does depend, but it depends on a lot of good reasons as well as probably some considering reasons that you need to factor into your equation. Tristan, from your end, from the wealth coach and financial planning perspective, when that question gets posed to you, I mean, what are some of the things you would consider for some of our viewers to think about? Yeah,
look, it is a good question, but there's an even better question, and it's how should I be saving? And a lot of people don't stop to think how to save. You know, some people let their pay all come into the one account and they spend as much as they need to spend, and if there's something left over, they call it savings. Other people have a specific account where they receive their income and then they actually put a regular amount, you know, into another account like a piggy bank or a savings account, or sometimes even a totally separate bank, one they can't see that, you know, they're not going to rip it back out from. And that second type of savings is what we call legitimate savings. It's a regular, ongoing saving plan of weekly, fortnightly, monthly. That's what we want to see. Even if someone comes to me with $100,000 and you'd think that's enough to get a property, surely, somewhere in Australia, but they don't have a regular savings plan, I'm going to say we're not going to look at any investment, especially not in property, until you have a regular savings plan. So that's number one. You've got to be saving something, whether it's $1 or it's $1,000 a week. We want to have something going ahead. And then in terms of how much you need to save, well, if you don't have much to begin with, then that's okay. As long as you've got a good saving history and you can prove that, you know, you have the ability to save, then there are avenues to get your deposit together without needing all of the cash up front. Obviously, if you own a home, you can be looking at an equity investment. In other words, you're using existing capital, not cash, to get access to another property and another loan. If you have no properties though and you're starting from scratch, a lot of people these days, a lot of younger investors are looking to their parents, their potentially aunties and uncles, and sometimes even siblings or grandparents to see if they'll offer a guarantee. And that's where the property of a family member is used as collateral for the bank to say, look, I'm going to give you the whole 100%, or maybe even just 95%, so you only have to put down a very small deposit. But if you forfeit on the loan and everything falls apart, I'm going to come after your folks' home and I'll force them to sell it, and they'll cover up. So obviously some more risks and a lot of implications to that, but it does mean that you don't need a specific figure in every situation. That said, we like to have rules of thumb, and I find that 60,000 Australian tends to be a good sort of figure to aim for. You'll find a lot of the time an entry-level property, especially if it's an investment and you're able to look nationwide, you can find decent properties in the $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 marks. And you know, at a $300,000 price point, you'd need a 20% deposit, about $60,000. If you're willing to go a little bit less than 20% and pay a bit of extra costs for it, you could then even afford some of the stamp duty and the additional purchasing costs. For example, stamp duty, for example, legal costs and also a property buyer's agent cost you might need to pay. And fitting that within 60,000 is achievable. However, it's going to limit your options. Yeah. So obviously there's a lot of ways you can slice it, and I've known people who've invested with as little as 42,000, yep. And obviously even less if you're going to use a guarantee. Yeah. But if you're on the road and you're wanting a figure, something to set your mark on, 60 is probably a baseline.
Yeah, no, it's some very sage advice there to say, look, that rule of thumb of around about 60K, and that is a moving feast as far as that price point over the years with regards to banks' appetite for LMI and LVRs that they want to see in different amounts of capital they want to see up front, or whether you're going to be using a guarantor or not. And I think the other part too is, in what you talked about, is it comes down to making sure that people understand that that first investment is always going to be the hardest. It truly is. I don't know too many investors who have 5+ investment properties to say that the 6th was the hardest to buy. It's never the case. It's always the first and potentially the second. Whether that's your owner occupier or your investment property, which one comes first, kind of irrelevant. This still is the hardest place to start getting legitimate savings. But I think, like you said, having some really good, considered processes in place to get your savings working in the background, get your money working for you, set some good habits, and then see if there's opportunity to leverage off family members, friends, or anyone who might be willing to look at putting a bit of capital up for you to allow you getting a foot in the door, release their equity as your first port of call, and then look at utilising that property as your springboard long term. The first million was always the hardest to make, as the saying goes, and that's really where the focus needs to be, saying if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. And that's why we are always on this journey of trying to figure out the best way to do it, the best structures to put them in. So thanks, mate. Really good insights. And I think, guys, again, if you do want to have any discussions with Tristan or his team about how to set those savings up and about what legitimate savings you might need to get your foot in the property door, feel free to give him a call. His contact details are at the bottom of the screen. And likewise, from myself and my team, our contact details are at the bottom, and you can always contact us on those numbers, and we'll chat to you soon. Cheers.